We throw out our take and we invite you to call in with your takes at 216-939-5087, 216-939-5087. There are several things that you can do to help stop the spread of respiratory diseases such as COVID-19. Number one, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Now, if you don't know what 20 seconds are, just sing happy birthday to yourself, and that's 20 seconds. Number two, cover your mouth when you call for sneeze. Yeah, I know that sounds like common sense, but how many of you are like me knowing that the most uncommon thing these days is common sense? Number three, stay away from people who are sick. And in addendum to that, you stay at home when you are sick. Stop trying to be a hero or a heroine or think that your job or whatever it is that you're doing can't function without you. Newsflash, it can and it will. Next, wipe down frequently touched items and objects. Wipe them down thoroughly. And you might want to mix in some hand sanitizer in your car so that when you go to the gas station, you can put that on after you've used the gas pump because you don't know who's been touching it. Also, please, maintain social distancing when you're inside. Wear a mask when you're inside. And if you haven't done so already, please get the vaccine, folks. Don't listen to the lies about it. Makes you, makes you impotent or makes you sterile. Don't listen to the lies that it'll make magnetic things stick to you. And the latest one I heard is that getting the vaccine is a mark of the beast. No, it's not. Okay, so don't believe that. Please get the vaccine, folks. And this was brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station, No Static Radio. We don't bring the static, but we sure enough bring the noise, powered by Google. Also, I just want to encourage everybody out there listening. We had a guest on back in the first Saturday in August by the name of Yantina Monique, who has a wonderful book out called Worth It. Please pick up a copy of it. You can hit her up on her Facebook page. You can go online to see how you can get it. This is a great book for people from 15 to 100. And then, of course, if you're in the Cleveland area or Northeast Ohio, on the third Saturday of each month, they are giving away free groceries every third Saturday, first and third Saturday, first and third Saturday of the month. They're giving away free groceries at 6812 Woodland Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now listen, that would be great if that's all they were doing. But guess what else they are doing? They are also giving away free clothing. And the great deal about the free clothing is it's not just for adults, but it's for adults and children. But it doesn't stop there, folks, because not only are they giving away free groceries, not only are they giving away free clothing for both adults and children, but they are also giving away a free hot lunch between 11:30 and 1:30 on that first and third Saturday of the month. So listen, you get free groceries, you get free clothing, and you get a nice, hot, home-cooked meal by church folks, which you know is going to be good, so you can't beat that with a hockey stick. And listen, you know what the cherry on top of that sundae is you don't have to show proof of residence. You don't have to show proof of income. You don't have to show anything. Well, there's one thing you have to show. You have to show up. But other than that, you do not have to show any of that. You will get the free clothing, you will get the free groceries, and you will get the free hot lunch, no questions asked. So that's every first and third Saturday in Cleveland, Ohio, at 6812 Woodland Avenue. And we want to shout out to Cleveland Food Bank. We want to shout out Williams Temple Church of God in Christ. And we want to shout out everyone else who's playing a part in doing this the first and third Saturday of each month. Well, for those of you who are regular listeners to this show, you know that when we have a guest in studio, we cater that time of the show to the area of expertise of our guests. And we are fortunate to have in studio with us for our first hour today, Ward 1 resident. Ward 1 is in Cleveland, Ohio. For those of you that are listening to us across the country, Ward 1 is a historic ward in the city of Cleveland. It's a predominantly Black ward. And we have in studio with us today a concerned citizen from Ward 1 by the name of Andre White. Mr. White, so glad to have you in studio. And Mr. White is a graduate of the greatest high school in the city of Cleveland, in the state of county of Cuyahoga, in the state of Ohio, in the United States of America, in the whole Western Hemisphere, heck, the whole world, and that is Cleveland John F. Kennedy High School.
K-High.
K-High to the day we die.
That's right.
You can probably tell by my enthusiastic introduction of him regarding the high school. You can probably tell that, yes, I am too also a proud alum of John F. Kennedy High School. So, Mr. White, welcome to No Static Radio and welcome to the right side.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being invited. And I want to give one shout out. You mentioned Long Beach, California. I didn't know you go that far. I have a council friend out there. His name is Al Austin. So I want to give him a shout out. If he hears this, what's up?
Okay, I hope, Mr. Austin, hope you're listening out there.
We are worldwide.
So, Andre, introduce yourself to our audience. Who is Andre White?
Andre White, like you said, is a concerned citizen from Ward 1. Concerned citizen for Ward 1. I've been living in Ward 1 since 1976. I have been involved with Ward 1 for many years. I've been a board member of the Lee Harvard Association, board member of the Harvard Community Service Center. I was a precinct person for about 12 years in Ward 1. And I worked on a couple of campaigns for the school levy just to make sure that Ward 1 got Whitney Young and Kennedy.
Okay, and I've got some questions to ask you that are particular to Ward 1.
Mm-hmm.
But before I do that, what I wanted to ask you was this. As a lifelong resident of Ward 1, and just to throw this out here just for informational purposes only, I too grew up in Ward 1. Actually, the time I was growing up there for the first part of my life, living there anyway, it was Ward 13 until the wards were reduced to what they are now here in the city of Cleveland. So, as both of us being lifelong residents of Ward 1, and you live there now, I'm just curious, I'm concerned with the turnout in the primary election that we had about 10 days ago or more for the mayoral election, but not only just the mayoral primary, but also the primary for city council seats, which we'll talk about, especially as it concerns Ward 1 shortly. And then to go back to August, the very low turnout, the turnout for the primary in November for the mayoral election and the city council was 16.86%. And then back in August, the turnout for the election for the primary for the 11th district, very high profile race that was covered not only locally but nationwide between former Congresswoman Nina Turner and State Senator Nina Turner, and also Cuyahoga County Democratic Chairperson and Democratic candidate-elect Shontel Brown. That turnout was only roughly 17.83%. So, what, in your opinion, why such a low turnout for such high-profile and very important elections?
Well, for the congressional race was very nasty, very negative, and people did not want to get involved and come out and vote in that primary. And you got to remember, when we talk about primary, a lot of folks do not come out into the primary because they're just not interested in voting in a primary. They wait until they see who comes out the primary, and then they get involved in November. And majority of folks that do vote in the primary are those candidate supporters that come out and vote in the primary. And then once again you see the rest of the voters come out in the general. But then that's not a very high number because once again 2017, only 23% of the people came out and voted the mayor candidate.
That's right.
And one of the reasons why I believe that voters don't come out is because they're dissatisfied with what's going on, and these elected officials are not doing the job that they promised. So people just stay home.
Well, and you're listening to the right side on No Static Radio. We bring the static, but we sure enough bring the noise. Our call-in number is 216-939-5087. 216-939-5087. And we have in studio with us in this first hour, Andre White. Okay, Mr. White, and I hear what you're saying too. And here's my issue with that, though. And I'm not saying this is what your belief. You articulated the reasoning why people aren't coming out. If you're dissatisfied, then the way to alleviate your dissatisfaction, so to speak, is to come out and vote for the candidate then that you think will best represent you. And see, this is the problem, and this happens especially in areas where predominantly people of color are, that this seems to be the prevailing attitude. And then what happens is that when people get in office, they don't serve the community because they feel as though, well, no one, you all didn't come out and vote. You didn't take the time or bother to come out and vote anyway. So I'm not really going to consider the things that you need. I'm going to consider the needs of those people who hold me accountable, if you will, and those are the voters. And that's on the local level, and that's on the national level as well. So wouldn't you agree the best way to, as I said, alleviate your dissatisfaction is to come out and elect the people or hold people's feet to the fire? And the only way you can really do that is at the ballot box.
You're correct. And we talk to people, say, why you didn't come out to vote? Because my vote don't matter. No, your vote do matter, because this is why we're in the predicament that we are in now. We have politicians or elected officials in these positions that don't care, and you don't come out to vote them out the position, they're going to stay. So don't stay at home and say your vote don't matter, because it only takes one vote to turn the election around. In World War I in 2017, Joe Jones only won that election by 4 votes. So
wow.
Just imagine
4 votes.
4 votes. Just imagine those 4 people came out and voted for the current councilman, the councilman back in that day. We wouldn't have this individual in office doing the things that he's doing. So your vote do count. Don't say it doesn't matter. And then another part of that is you got to remember about the civil rights movement. You got to go back after the civil rights movement. You got to look at your grandmother, grandfather, who all those ancestors went out and voted and died. That's another reason to get out and vote.
Exactly. I mean, if people would know the price that was paid, for example, and I'm not going to go too far down this trail, but just as a point of information of what you just said, on the march from, well, let me say this first. President Lyndon Johnson at the time did not press to get the Voting Rights Act passed out of the goodness of his heart. Now, to commend him, he did press to get it done, but what motivated him to get it done was the pressure that was being put on him by the civil rights movement. And to that point, primarily the march that was held from Selma, Montgomery to Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama, up Highway 30, that somewhat 50-mile march, which, by the way, 6 people lost their lives.
Correct.
As a result of, to get people the right to vote. And then you sit at home and say my vote doesn't count. That's a lie straight from the pits of hell, because if your vote didn't count, then why did the state of Georgia take the actions that it just took to enact voter suppression laws? If your vote didn't count, why did the state of Texas do the same thing that Georgia did? If your vote does not count, why is it that 47 of the 50 states here in this country right now have either already enacted voter suppression legislation or are in the process of trying to enact voter suppression? So that's what people want you to think. If your vote didn't count, then why are they taking all these measures? And I'm laughing not because it's funny, it's just I'm laughing trying not to cry behind this. Why are they taking all these measures? So I'm glad that you said what you said.
Let me say something.
Yeah, just go ahead.
You're right. When Dr. King went into the Oval Office with Leonard B. Johnson gave all kind of reasons why he should not pass the civil rights law.
That's right.
And then Dr. King got up and he said, I'm going to Georgia and we're going to march. and we're going to
Alabama,
get
but yeah.
I'm sorry, Alabama, and we're going to get that Alabama, and we're going to get that voting deal. We're going to get it. And he left, and they went out and marched.
And now we're seeing it being whittled away right now, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that later on in the hour with the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act that's in the Congress right now and trying to get on the floor of the Senate to be voted on. So, Andre, as a resident of Ward 1, what do you see? This is a twofold question. What do you see as the major issue within Ward 1 right now? And a follow-up to that is with the American Rescue Act has already been passed through the Congress and the Senate. And now, these monies are now there for infrastructure throughout this country. How does that money get into places like Ward 1, we really get really specific, on 155th Street, where part of 155th Street is like riding through a road that had just had a bombing run over it because there's so many bumps and holes and what have you, and that street's been like that for years. So the twofold question: what is the main problem in Ward 1? Would you see, and what needs to be done to make sure that these monies that are now there, based on the American Rescue Act that has passed, can get to the people who really need it?
Well, the number one problem in Ward 1 is a lack of leadership. That's one. And then we go into the issues of the basic services, the crime, the gentlemen riding the ATVs and the motorcycles, bars and liquor stores are located in our community now, things that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. So those are some of the issues. And the reason why those issues are there is because we have a council person who don't care. When we had the current administration never gave liquor permits out. Now, since this gentleman has been in,
one second, hold that thought. When you say the current administration, are you talking about the mayoral administration?
No, I'm sorry,
or
council
administration.
Yeah,
okay,
council.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The council administration. Since this gentleman been in, there have been over 17 liquor stores that have been added to Ward 1. 17. And you know what causes these stores. People stand out there. They harass the customers.
Yes.
They stand there and they want to sell drugs. Are you straight? Are you straight? Are you straight? These are the things and shootings, all kinds of incidents start with these stores. And now, don't get me wrong. Now, there's some good stores that are running their business correctly, call the police, tell them they need these guys removed. But you don't need a community saturated with lots of liquor stores.
That's right. And especially too, and you wouldn't see this, and let's be frank about it. You wouldn't see this in communities that are not communities of people of color.
Right.
Just be honest with you, and you're so right. When you're coming down Lee Road, and when you cross Scottsdale from the Shaker side on Lee Road to the Lee Harvard area, the very first thing that you see are these types of stores, and again, I understand that, you need business in the community. I get that. However, you also should be more selective about the type of business that you have in your community. Do we need a liquor store on every corner? When you talk about that, of course, when you talk about the health effects too of the people in the community as well, liquor stores, beauty salons, barbershops, and fast food restaurants are primarily what makes up the business community within the Lee Harvard area. And so now you have to ask yourself, well, what kind of jobs are those generating? Those are mostly generating minimum wage jobs, which, since we don't have a $15 an hour minimum wage in this country, are not really generating revenue. I'm sorry, go ahead. So when you say lack of leadership, I presume you're speaking of the...
Excuse me, can I chime in for a moment before we get too far off of that? Because I just don't want to forget that it's not just the liquor stores, but we have Arab brand businesses in our communities, these convenience stores and gas stations that not only harbor that type of
activity,
horrible activity, but then they don't take care of the properties or the premises that they have their businesses on, and that is disturbing, disgusting, and disrespectful.
I was going to say something when Mr. Dog was talking. Those businesses that we're talking about don't reflect us.
Yes.
And I was in Detroit about 10 years ago, and I noticed that every store, every corner had a liquor store. I said, wow, I'm glad we ain't like that in Lee Harvard. Now, flip the script, guess what? We're like that in Lee Harvard. Mm-hmm. And the same individuals who own those stores are the same individuals who own stores in Cleveland. They just migrate from Detroit to Cleveland, from Chicago. It's one big family.
So let me ask you this, and I'm going to get back to that leadership question here in just a second. So let me ask you this, and you're listening to the right side on No Static Radio. We don't bring the static, but we sure enough bring the noise. And we have Andre White in studio with us, concerned resident of Ward 1 in the city of Cleveland. So what is the cause of that? Because you'll hear the statement that black people do not want to invest in businesses in the community, or they don't want to put up the revenue or capital, or they can't get the loans, or whatever the case may be. What is the reason for this, that we see people who do not look like us controlling the businesses in our neighborhoods?
Well, we got to go back when me and you were growing up in Lee Harvard, when Lee Harvard had black businesses. So you got to realize that was 20-some, 30 years ago. So those individuals retire, they move out the community, so they sell their business. And then who's there to buy the business? There's other individuals who don't look like us because we can't get the loans now. Mm-hmm. We can't get the loans. You go to the bank, you ain't got a business on plan, you come back, they redline us today. But you always got to remember, back in the day, those stores were owned, and all the other business was owned by African Americans. And Ward 1 was known for African American businesses.
That's right.
And those individuals that had the business, guess what? They lived in the Lee Harvard community.
Exactly. And not to sound elitist at all, just putting the truth out there. When my family first moved in to the Lee Harvard area at the time, and I'm dating myself here, but at the time we moved in there in February of 1959, there were only, the street we moved on, there were only 2 other black families on the street at that time. And by December of the following year, the entire street had flipped. And most of the people, in fact, if not all of them, that were moving in to the Lee Harvard area at that time were from middle class background, 2-parent homes where both parents were working and what have you, home owners instead of home renters, which means people would maintain their properties and what have you, and that reflected in the businesses. But I want to get back to the leadership thing, and if you have any questions or comments regarding what we're talking about, you can call us at 216-939-5087, 216-939-5087. So when you talk about lack of leadership, and you said that first, so I'm presuming that you see that as the number one problem that all these other problems like kind of branch out from, if you will. So what is the issue with Joe Jones? What his, because I'm going to say his name, he's the council person in Ward 1 right now. What is the issue with him? Where is he lacking that he can be better and that would reflect better in the neighborhood?
Well, he's lacking in leadership, and he's lacking in the understanding of how government works and how city council is supposed to work. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, we just talked about the stores. When a person is shot or a person gets killed in front of a liquor store or a bar, you automatically try to get rid of their liquor license because now they become a nuisance to the community. Instead of you saying, well, let's do a nuisance law, nuisance ordinance to get rid of this individual, he braces them because most of those guys give him money to run for office. When you have ATL...
so they're campaign contributors.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
When you have motorcycles, and this is all over the city, we know that. When you have motorcycles going up and down the street, and the police, the 4th District only has 2 cars, only 2 cars in the whole district, and it can only do traffic, and you don't go to the committee meetings and say, hey, How can we help you get more cars in the district? Things like that. Don't go complain against the police department or complain about that department. You need to ask them, how can we help as council people to get you the resources that you need? That's when I say lack of leadership.
Okay, and so that being said, my other question that I asked too, as I said, with the passage of the American Rescue Act and the monies that are now available for infrastructure, not just in Cleveland, all throughout the country, but we're going to focus, since this is where we are, even though we have people listening to us all over the country. So, with the lack of leadership, do you trust that these monies that are now available to the city of Cleveland, and more specifically to individual wards, and let's even narrow it down even more to Ward 1, do you think that this money is going to be
No.
deployed in a way that's going to help the Ward 1?
No.
Why is that?
Because they're already talking about, I just saw a video or YouTube, whatever you want to call it, of city council, not city council, but the mayor's cabinet talking about what they want to do with the American Act Plan money, rescue plan money, and they already talking about development. And when they say development, they're talking about building houses, putting money into houses again. Ward 1 don't need no more houses because we got houses that's there already that are vacant, can be renovated. You need to put that money towards the people, doing health, creating jobs, fixing the streets,
Right.
all those things. You have council people right now during a pandemic. Where were they at? I know Joe didn't do it. Joe did not say, they got all this money and no one got a free mask. Not one mask. Where was he at?
Yeah, you're right. So where did this money, and forget for a moment the American Rescue Act, because that just passed, but you're right, there was money allocated during the height of the pandemic, because we're still in the pandemic really, but that was allocated for where people can get masks and what have you.
Shots.
And shots. And
the vaccine. That's
yeah,
not say shots.
right. And where did this money go to?
You gotta ask them guys what they did with the money. It's probably still sitting there. Vaccines. Other council people were doing vaccines, announcing it on their websites, getting the information out. Ward 1, no. Not one. There was no information about the vaccine. And even when other wards had it, we were in the city of Cleveland. Ward 5 had vaccines. So some of my friends had to go to Ward 5 to go get their vaccine because there was no information coming out of Ward 1 of vaccines. And so once these other council persons started doing it, here come Hop Along Joe at the last minute.
Okay, so, and you're listening to the right side on No Static Radio. We don't bring the static, but we sure enough bring the noise. And we have concerned citizen of Ward 1, Andre White, here in studio with us. Andre,
let me say this
go ahead.
Before you get, they're going to introduce what the city council and the city of Cleveland are going to introduce what they want to do with this money from the rescue plan. And so people need to be there at City Hall during the council meeting because it's now going to have open mic. I call it open mic. You need to be there to voice your opinion and make sure that this money is going to the right people, the right place, and the right development. Don't sit at home. Make your voice heard. So when city council start back, get down there. Speak out. Put your name on the sheet and say you want to ask questions. That's how you get that money back into your community.
Right. You have to do something. The silent squeaky wheel gets the attention. If you're silent, then they're going to think that's apathy and that you don't care. So if you don't care, why should we care? So with Councilman Jones's questionable record as a councilman,
he has no record. Everything that the current administration has done, he's claiming.
Mm-hmm.
Why? So my question was going to be, how does he continue to get elected then? I just saw the recent results of the primary now the turnout was very poor in Ward 1, but I saw the results. He got 66% of the vote there. So how does he continue to garner such huge support in that war, given all the things that you just pointed out and you just talked about?
One, those votes are his supporters. Two, people do not come out and vote. They complain, but they don't come out and vote to get rid of this individual. Oh, excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Joe only received 2,065 votes in a primary. 4 years ago, for him to win, he got 2,800 and something votes. So when the general comes, only an extra 500 people want to come out and vote. So he have 2,500 some votes again to push him over. What we need is good candidates to come out and run. Candidates that people know, candidates people would trust, and candidates that people can rely on and know they're going to do the job. Now, I'm not saying that Kimberly Brown is not a good candidate, all right? But
Yeah, because she finished second. But
right, she finished second. But those all play a part of the role. And if the people can see that we have someone that can beat him, they're going to come out. And once again, I'm not knocking Kim.
okay, so then it's your belief that there's a perception there that the only people who really came out were those who support those candidates.
Yes, that's all over the city.
And not just in Ward 1, but all over the city. And that pretty much that's going to be the case in November too then, from what you're saying.
Same old thing again.
So
people stay home.
You're not very optimistic then that anything's going to change.
Let me say this, not to cut you off. There's 16,000 registered voters. 16,000 registered voters in Ward 1. Only 3,511 voters came out. Where are the other 12,000 some change at? What are they doing?
So that's not even 25%.
Right. So you got 12,000 some voters out there sitting at home. And you're allowing 3,000 people to come out and make decisions for you by letting them vote for someone who's not doing nothing for you. Shame on you.
Exactly. So you get the government that you vote, or in this case, you get the government that you don't bother to vote. So if you don't bother to vote,
you get what you get.
You get what you get. If you don't bother to vote, then you don't really have a complaint. You can't.
Right.
You need to be silent. You're either a registered voter, or you have to ask yourself whether the question: am I a registered voter or just a propaganda promoter? Because if you're just a propaganda promoter and you're not a registered voter, then you have no say. And you got to be more than just a registered voter. You have to actually go out and exercise that right.
And not only vote, you got to get involved in your community.
Right.
You got to join those street clubs. You got to go to those community meetings that these council people have, and you got to let them hear your voice. You go to a community meeting and there's only 4 people there, and 27,000 residents live in the area, come on.
Exactly. Again, it goes back to what we were saying in the very beginning. Really, this is, Mr. White, this is really just a microcosm, if you will, of what is happening in this country, period.
It's all over.
Where you have a small percentage of people making the decisions for the majority of people, and then that majority, if they don't like the way the decision came out, they just sit back and complain about it.
Nothing
yet
will change.
They don't do anything about it. And if you really want to listen, those of you that are listening to us today via the various means you can listen to us, and those who are watching us by Facebook Live, if you really want to see change, if you really want to see progress made, you have to vote. And listen, you have to do it more than just once. You just can't come out for a presidential election like last year or a mayoral election and that's it. You have to come out. You have to vote every election that that affects you, because one election is not going to change everything. And the only way that you can get these politicians to listen to you is if you vote. If they know you're not going to vote, they're not going to listen to you. They're only going to listen to the people who hold them accountable by voting, and you're only going to get your programs or the things that you want to see done by voting in a large enough block where that politician, he or she, has to listen to you, because if they don't, then they know they won't be in office anymore.
Ward 1 used to be the highest voting area in the state of Ohio. Matter of fact, when Obama ran in 2012, I believe, when he first
2008 was his
2000, I'm sorry, 2008, Ward 1 was the only ward in the country that voted 98% Democrat.
And I'll be curious, I wonder what the turnout was at that time.
Over 8,000 votes, close to 8,000, 10,000 votes.
So it was a high turnout in the community. So let me ask you this too, and this in a way affects Ward 1. Because when you were doing your introduction, you talked about when you sat on the board of RTA. There's been some changes that have been made to bus service that affects Ward 1. And in particular, the 15A. Can you expound on that? Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of back and forth in the community on that right now. Some are saying that the 15A is going to be taken away.
No.
Others are saying no, it's not being taken away. It's just being curtailed. What is the actual deal on that bus line right now?
Well, first of all, Ward 1 has 5 bus lines that service the community. Mm-hmm. One is the 15. Now, what they did with the 15 is they cut Corlette out of the bus route.
Oh, okay.
So 15 is continuing to run. It goes from downtown all the way to Tri-C, and there's a 15. I believe it's a 15A. It's not a 15A. Yeah, it just goes straight to go downtown, and then it comes straight to Eastern Campus and over to Hoosiers Medical Center.
Yeah, I think that's the regular 15. I know the 15A used to go up Walden and
right. It used to go up to Walden, Bartlett, Corlette, and then straight down to I forgot where it meet at, but I think it was Tri-C again. Mm-hmm. It was at Tri-C. Now the 14 has a 14A. The 14 goes from downtown back up to Tri-C, and it also goes to Country Lane. Now the 15 used to have a Country Lane service,
right,
but it no longer has that service. So the 14A has picked up that service to take people to Country Lane, which is in Warrensville, Ohio. So the 15 has not. It has changed. It just changed by not going down Corlette, Bartlett, and Walton.
So those residents that live in that area there, that depended on the 15A before, what is it that is there something that has been replaced that they can now take?
Well, go down Walden.
Yeah, Walden, Corlette, and all that.
No, there's nothing that replaced that route. So they have to do the walking piece to the bus stop. If you live on Walden, you have either going to go to Lee Road to catch the 40 to go down to the 15, or if you live in the Bartlett area, you have to go catch the 14, walk to Kinsman, catch the 14. I know it's hard, but once again, RTA has meetings. They put them out. And when they have these meetings, they have them in the community services centers. They have them at other locations. When you go in there, 1 or 2 people.
So, and by the way, you're listening to The Right Side on No Static Radio. We don't bring the static, but we sure enough bring the noise. Our call-in number is 216-939-5087. 216-939-5087. And we have Andre White in studio with us now. So, Mr. White, regarding those meetings, and for those who attended and asked questions to the leadership, and there's been some feedback that the leadership really, for lack of a better term, has just really kind of disrespected them and never told them the reasons why these cutbacks were made and was there going to be replacement or anything. It was almost as though they already had their minds made up regardless of what happened in these meetings.
Because the state has taken the money they used to give to RTA and across the state of Ohio to all on transit, they cut the services. I mean, they cut their money back. So if the state cuts their money, we have to cut service back. We're not getting that much revenue from sales tax because of the pandemic. Remember, the pandemic was going on. So there's all types of reasons why you have to cut service. And so when they cut service, they try to combine the service together so people won't lose out. But it starts with the state. It starts with the federal government. The Republicans, I'm going to say it, the Republicans come in, and especially down in the rural countries, means counties, cut the money from the transportation and put it towards roads. And we lose out. And that's why it's very important for people to come to those meetings. I can't argue when I was on the board. I can't argue for you when they show me statistics. Well, these people don't ride the bus, and they don't show up at these meetings. What can I say? I can shout and scream.
And so it's lack of turnout to the meetings. Didn't they, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they have meetings within the community, like at the Lee Harvard Community
Yes, they always
Service?
come out.
And you're saying that even at these meetings, only 2 or 3 people show up?
I'm not going to say 2 or 3 people, but 10, 15. I really don't know exactly how many, but that's about as much as they get. And one year, I went on tour with them to all these meetings. And I actually saw it. 3 or 4 or 5 people coming to these meetings. I saw it.
You're listening to the right side on No Static Radio. We don't bring the static, but we sure don't bring the noise. Our call-in number is 216-939-5087. 216-939-5087. Marie, did we have a caller?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard.
I want to talk about the 48. The 48 used to
Yeah,
run,
that was good. I was going to ask about that too.
right.
Go ahead.
The 48 used to run through what they call Miles Heights, Miles Village, and what we call across the tracks. The 48 has been replaced now by the 50. So
I was
48,
wondering.
The 48 regular no longer come through the Lee Harvard Association. Lee Harvard Community. The 50 is now the one that replaced it.
Wow.
Welcome to the right side, caller. State your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to the right side, caller. State your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Hey, caller. Welcome to the right side, caller. State your name and where you're calling from.
This is Carlita Gardner from Ward 1.
Hello, Carlita.
And we did have a meeting about the 15 via Walda and the 48A with Joe Jones, Councilman Joe Jones.
Okay.
And in that meeting, we met with Joe Frolick and Natoya Minor. And it was stated that they were going to review those routes again. But as Andre said, as the council person, we were not aware of the prior meeting. But once we learned that these meetings could take place, we have set in on board meetings. And we have called in, and we have sat and just sat there listening. And the people who are calling to make complaints